Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
The following presentation is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Radio from the heart of America now.
And now, the Commander-in-Chief is back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. And you are in the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio, 1330 WEBY. We broadcast to portions of 4 states on the Gulf Coast, and we stream live over the internet and over your smartphone. Visit us at carlgallups.com, carlgallups.com. Go there tomorrow, and you can download the podcast of this show. And right now, you can go to facebook.com/freedomfriday.carlgallups, freedomfriday.carlgallups at facebook.com. And because my next guest, John B. Wells, I've got him posted and pinned to the top of that page so that you can see him and go to his website. And many of you know all about John B. Wells. And if you don't, you need to hook up with this guy because he has some amazing radio. John B. Wells, he is the host of Caravan to Midnight. And he is the past Saturday evening host of the most listened to overnight program in radio history, Coast to Coast AM, John B. Wells. He's an actor, a musician, a writer, an investigative journalist, a composer, a martial artist, aviator, broadcaster. He's also an internationally renowned voiceover artist with credits ranging from serving as the announcer for CBS, The Late Show, and Craig Kilborn to voicing promos for hit television shows like the Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush, to lending his voice to films like Oliver Stone's JFK and talk radio, as well as the popular series Unsealed, Alien Files. That's John B. Wells, Caravan to Midnight. John B. Wells, I count you as a good friend and a dear friend, my brother, and I've had the great pleasure of being on your show. We've known each other for a couple of years now, but we actually got to meet each other at the Hear the Watchman conference in Dallas just a couple of weeks ago, and what an honor it was to meet you, John B. Wells, in person. And thanks for being on the show today.
Pastor Carl, right back at you. You know, that intro you gave me might make some people say, wow, this guy is really kind of ADD, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. My intro is very similar, brother. Well, you know, when you're as old as we are, you tend to have done a lot of things and been a lot of places.
Well, yeah, you know, life's too short. You know, I remember that movie City Slickers, and Jack Palance was in there. Remember we told Billy Crystal just concentrate on one thing. So I decided, okay, well, there's two sides to that coin, or as that old Louisiana lawyer said, no matter how thin you slice it, every piece of bread got two sides.
That's right.
So you can either concentrate on one thing and it splinters out into a whole bunch of others, or you can just do a whole bunch of things. But in the end, what you and really I'm involved in, it would be just the arts. It's the art of communicating. It's the art of formulating ideas. And, you know, aviation and sailing are so closely related, you wouldn't believe it. That's why the seafaring men of old and now refer to their ships, whether they're airships or seagoing ships, as her or she, you know. Yeah. That's just kind of how it is. So, yeah, that Watchman conference was awfully nice. And people in the audience, I'm pretty sure they would expect us to say, oh, what a great time we had. The thing about it is we really did have great time.
Yeah.
You know, and I told people nobody's going to pull out their snakes. Nobody's going to force you or put you on the spot or anything. Just listen and just follow your feelings. And they did. And what a great bunch of people. And you know, Field McConnell said, I'll be there. He just got on a plane and came down. And a famous aviator and just a heck of a nice guy. So it was all, I thought it was just perfect.
Yeah, it was amazing. Mike and Jeannie Kerr put those Hear the Watchman conferences on in various places around the United States. The Dallas conference is always a big one. I was honored to have been asked. This is the first time I've been asked to be there. I had a great time. And then you were emceeing as well as speaking, and you did an amazing job. And so many people, I mean, everybody there knew you, knows you, listens to you. So that was great. But you're right. I mean, all of the speakers, I went around all the tables. We all talked to each other. We ate together. We had fun together. You know, regardless of nuances of beliefs in some areas. I mean, we love the Lord. We love each other. We love this nation. We see the prophetic times we're living in, and we just wanted to share that with folks, each from our own perspective. So I thought it was powerful. There were a lot of people that came to the Lord and came back to the Lord there too.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. I was on the air earlier today for just 15 minutes. I go on there every Friday with Mr. Carl Lamb.
Oh, my
I believe
gosh.
He is the oldest broadcaster, and he knows and thinks a lot of you, and he told me to say hello. So I'm doing it now.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when you said that, because I love that man. I've known him for years. But anyway, go ahead, John B.
Well, it's just that I don't know where this stuff comes from, Carl. I really don't, because I was asked, or actually Brendy was asked, well, what's John going to talk about? What are his talking points? And she went, he doesn't really work like that. You'll find out what he's going to say after he starts talking. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I always just ask the Lord, Lord, just give me the words. Right. And if I have to come up with them myself, that's okay. Just let everything that I say be acceptable to you.
Thank you.
Be acceptable to my family, and be acceptable to the audience, in that order.
That's right. That's good.
And it worked out okay. So my little Good Friday message, and I said this on his show. I said, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a minister. I'm maybe a little bit of a preacher, but I'm not ordained, certainly. But the whole thrust of my little 15, 20-minute chat was just that, in worship, as Brendy mentioned to me, the gal that says she is my fiancée, soon to be my wife.
Yes.
She said, the human being is engineered to worship. And they're going to worship something, which is why people get pulled into cults and everything else. All you have to do is get them off the track. It's just that thing about before you can sell anybody any dope, you got to get them to try it. Before you can hook somebody on porn, you got to get them to watch it.
Right.
So depending on who gets there first, there may be some obstacles you have to overcome. And when it comes to worshiping the Lord in all capital letters, meaning God our Father, and the Lord with just the capital L, meaning His Son, and they're the same because Jesus was Father incarnate on the earth, because Father does whatever He wants, and He can certainly do that. The thing is that the perception with so many people is that, we've got to be humble and we've got to be pious, and it's more about putting on a uniform, and Christianity becomes the uniform for the cliche, but it's not that way at all,
right.
Because Father can do anything He wants. Yes, through worship, we make it all about acknowledging. When we say praise, worship, and glory to God. Well, what is glory? Respect, credit, acknowledgement, devotion. That's what that is.
Right.
So while, yes, it is all about Him, He has made it all about us. I think we all need to ask ourselves a question. If there is a divine, all-powerful creator of the universe, not just a little planet out here that's really pretty small compared to some of the other stuff that's out there in space,
right,
but the space itself, all of the worlds, why would He make any kind of a big deal about us? Why would He even care?
Right.
It's because we are of and from Him.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Why. So,
in His image.
When the Creator of the universe
powerful.
makes it all about you, the human, that's pretty serious. And I think people should look and say, what is my essence? Yeah. And recognize, I'm doing that preacher thing, man.
No, that's good. This is good.
You start to say something, but you just can't get it out. Now I know why they do it.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing. I think people should recognize their value.
Exactly.
Because God has acknowledged your value. Who are you to say, I have no value? I'm just nothing. I don't like my life. I don't like me. I don't like any of this. Well, who are you to say such a silly thing?
Right. That's good, John. And, and that explains why Satan and the fallen ones with him are so actively involved in destroying the image of humanity through abortion, war, disease, crime, corruption, pornography, pollution. They want people to be crushed down and so that they don't recognize their value, their worth, their dignity, because we are created in the image of God. And that's what this whole week, that's what the rugged cross, that's what the empty tomb is all about, brother. So thank you. You're preaching some good stuff, man.
Satan never sleeps. Just like that old song by Neil Young, "Rust Never Sleeps."
Yeah,
I think that was actually the name of the album. You want to hear a good one? This is how far this insanity has actually gone. I've been talking about global communism for a long time, and the folks over there at Coast to Coast AM, they didn't really want me talking about that, and that's okay. By the way, at the Watchman conference, this woman walked up to me and said, "Are you George Norrie?"
Oh no! Bless your heart.
No. But you're close. You're close.
Yeah.
We work on this. We worked on the same show.
Yes, sir.
But do you know that MIT has decided to republish a book that came out in 2004 called "Communism for Kids," translated into English by MIT Press.
Wow. Now that's Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That MIT.
That MIT. Yes.
Wow.
And it is very, very creepy. And if you go to Amazon and just type in "Communism for Kids" by Beanie somebody, she's a strange person in her orientation. You'll read it that communism is hard, but it doesn't have to be hard. We want to expose kids to a communism that's free from authoritarianism. It's like, well, good luck with that. That, as the author wrote, same old chestnut. And the point is that they're trying everything now because so many of us are wise to the lie, the big lie with a big capital L, the lie that we've been living under. Certainly, we began to get wise to it during the Vietnam era. And as we go through, and with the Internet and all these people we can communicate with all over the world using the net, no wonder they want to control it. When you find out World War I was a setup. Yes, the Lusitania was carrying munitions. Yes, FDR wanted to figure out a way to get the Japanese to do something so that we could justify attacking them, getting it on with them, declaring war with them. Then we have Korea, which we're dealing with it, 60-something, almost 70 years later. Certainly when it ended 64 years ago in 53. So now we're still dealing with North Korea. I mean, what's a North Korean? I mean, if we say a South American, well, that's down yonder on that continent down there. But a South American here on the continental shelf of North America, does that mean somebody from Alabama or Louisiana or what? So what exactly is a North Korean? Well, they look Chinese to me, except China doesn't want those people back. So we're still dealing with that. So a bunch of people get all shot up, and the Korean War just ends at a stalemate at the 38th parallel, and here we're still dealing with it. Now we've got the War on Terror. Oh, but preceding that was the Vietnam War that went, 64 to 75, so that's 11. We've been over there 14 years now. Went in there in 03, and it's 2017, Last March was 14 years, and we realized that this has been nothing but one lie after another.
Right.
Hillary Clinton's now calling Al-Qaeda is our ally against ISIS. After the WikiLeaks dump about Qatar and Saudi Arabia providing logistic and financial support to ISIS. So they are so desperate, they're throwing everything that they possibly can into the human psyche, from communism to kids to lighting up the White House in wonderful gay rainbow colors. All people on news outlets like CNN using just street language. The most hardcore bikers don't use that language with the frequency that they do. So, and now the flying saucer thing. Now we've had more flying saucer sightings in the last year than I think maybe all of the other years that we've been looking at them put together.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and I want to talk about that when we come back on the other side. I'm hearing the music, John B. Wells, and so we're going to go to break, but when we come back, let's talk about that. More UFO sightings than at any other time in history, and the United States leads the way, and now we've got NASA astronauts coming out saying, listen, we are being visited, we have been visited, they are among us. NASA astronauts, brother. Let's talk about that when we come back on the other side, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, good deal. Folks, Freedom Friday, Carl Gallups, my guest, John B. Wells. Don't go anywhere. We've got an interesting discussion coming up next. All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast, and welcome back, America. John B. Wells and I, we're trying to knock on heaven's door here a little bit. We're just exalting the Lord, lifting up Jesus Christ. We're talking about cool things and spiritual things as well. John B., are you there?
I am, sir.
Okay. Do you hear all that terrible static?
I have to tell you, I'm using a VoIP phone, and this thing picks up background noise louder than the voice, which is emanating from the pie hole right next to the microphone. That actually was not static. that was actually my coffee pot, which is 20 feet away, but it's finished doing its thing. I thought I could sneak in a cup of coffee here while I was talking to you, but I guess I've been busted.
You know what? You have been busted, but here's what we're going to do. Because we love you so much, we're going to make that sacrifice, and we're going to listen to your coffee pot percolate. I think it's about done now, right? So that you can have...
I'm across the house now.
Oh, okay. You're turning it off, right?
Flip the kitchen.
Okay, well, flip that switch, brother, because it's horrible. But I was willing to make a sacrifice for you. I mean, I was.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I owe you one.
Well, you do. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. But hey, John B., listen, you said it. You brought it up, and that is two different reports that fit together that I'm going to pitch to you and let you just give your take on it, because I know you have a lot of experts in this area, in this field, on your show talking about these things. But I believe we're being spiritually set up for the great deception. I think it's going to have something to do with the demonic presenting themselves as visitors from outer space, that they're here to unite the world under one leader, to tell us what to do, to save us from destroying ourselves. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. The Bible doesn't say those words, but it does speak of a great delusion like the world has never seen, and it does speak of the worst times in human history right before all this happens. And so these two reports, one of them is that you alluded to before we went to break, that there are more UFO sightings around the world now than at any other time in history. And the United States of America leads the way, I think, with some 5 times more than anywhere else in the world, something like that. You'll know. And then the second article, and this is posted at freedomfriday.carlgallups at facebook.com, folks. It's from the UK Sun, and the title is Meet the NASA astronauts who believe aliens are visiting Earth and communicating with humanity. And I'll read a couple of these quotes in a moment from these astronauts. It's unbelievable what they're saying. But what's your take on all this, John B. Wells?
You know, I heard a song a long time ago by a very interesting musician named Tom Waits. Mm-hmm. And it's a creepy song, and he does some very creepy music. You know, what's he doing in there? This long narrative about a guy. He gets a lot of mail, but I never see anybody come. But he wrote this one song called Everything You Can Think Of Is True. And I thought, yes, I suppose so, because thoughts are actual physical things. You know, now, I'm not going to go too far afield here, but we recently learned that the human body attracts light, absorbs light, also radiates light. We know that everything is based on the force, as Obi-Wan said. That it surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the universe together. Well, that's electromagnetic energy.
Exactly.
It holds the atoms together.
Yes, it
holds
does.
all that together. It
Mm-hmm.
holds us together.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no law that I know of that says, all right, we have angels, we have demons. Well, some of them have wings and some of them don't. Some of them probably ride in little saucer-shaped craft, and some of them don't, depending upon their rank. Mm-hmm. We know that there have been too many reports, and it has nothing to do with drugs or just abject hallucination of the schizophrenic variety. May those who suffer from that be blessed and healed, because it can be done. There's nothing that says that some of these visitors are not what we call angels. Mm-hmm. We know, and going back to that thing about people can't be crazy, they have seen people who have departed this earthly life who have showed up again. They can see them, and they talk to them, and they'll say, it's all right, everything's fine, it's not as hard as you think, and some of them are absolutely terrified of where they are and don't know. So Gordon Cooper, now going to the flying saucer thing, Gordon Cooper's been talking about this for a long time. There's a video out there somewhere still where he says, yeah, we were out there, I don't remember where he was, China Lake or one of them, by that big lake where they do a lot of testing. I can't call the name of it, save my life right now, but anyway, they had a camera crew out there, and they're talking to Gordon. And all of a sudden, this little saucer-shaped craft, he goes, this little saucer came over and stuck out its landing gear and landed, and they continued to film and run over there to it. And when they got kind of close to it, it just levitated up a little bit, sucked the gear up, it tilted and took off. On 2 occasions at least, when somebody talked about these saucers leaving, they always said it tilted and then headed out. Okay, so it didn't just go straight up and then make a movie noise and go away. It tilted up and left.
Right. We've got 60 seconds, brother. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Well, then you got Buzz Aldrin, who said, wait till they find out about the monolith circling Mars and all this other stuff.
Right.
It's hard to cram a lot of stuff into 60 seconds, but I'll tell you, these things are real. I think some of them are kind of like we are, and I think some of them are these entities. I think they can move in a physical craft. I think they can move interdimensionally. And we know CERN over in Switzerland is working on trying to open a portal so they can explore parallel universes.
Yes.
Well, if there are parallel universes, maybe they found a way to cross over.
Yeah.
And we very well could be. If we're not really being set up for a big deception, certainly it can be used as a great deception.
Certainly it can. And CERN actually said what you just said, and we've reported on that. You're absolutely right. John B. Wells, look, it just went by too quickly. I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to talk with you off air later about having you back on soon, and let's just do a whole segment on this topic, because this is spiritual, it's scientific, it's interesting to people, and I think it's important that people are warned of what could be lying ahead. Would you be willing to maybe do that a little later on?
Absolutely. You got my number. Ring me anytime, day
yes,
or night.
I sure do. John B. Wells, thanks for being on. We'll tell folks where they can find you during the rest of the show. I got to say goodbye right now, though, because we're coming down to a hard break. God bless you, man. Folks, thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, folks, for listening, and we'll be back just a minute. Brandon Big B.